All right, that looks good. All right. This is a video for Sick Again. I'm wearing these headphones because I just don't want to lose my hearing. It's really loud down here with these fabulous pasty zippers. Sick Again, recorded at Headley Grange for Physical Graffiti. It has the classic Headley Grange sound on it with, well, I don't know about the guitars, but definitely the drums. To me, the drums sound exactly like on Kashmir, with the exception of the phase effects and stuff that are on the Kashmir recording. But I would bet that the drums for Kashmir and the drums for this were probably recorded within a day or so of each other. If you really listen to the bass from the drums, they sound the same. Anyway, of course, they'd camp out at Headley Grange for like 2 or 3 weeks and just leave the stuff set up and play. Anyway. All right. The song starts out, da 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 da, right, with the guitar, and then blah. That is the basic, by and large, in this song, the basic rhythm is. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. It's the same with the crashes on the beginning. They're not da, okay, so that's the basic in the song. The basic beat is. That's what, most of the time, that's what he's doing. Song is composed by and large what I call a verse, which has that and a little hi-hat part, and then what I call like a bridge, then like a climb down. And anyway, so he comes into the tune. Goes to the bell of his ride cymbal. When he goes to the bell of his ride cymbal, he goes. He actually sometimes I think hits the crashes before he goes in. I'm just looping that part. What he plays there is he's hitting 8 notes on the bell of the ride. The hi-hat has to be open, wide. You get that bark. And probably in the recording, in the mixing, they probably did crank up the hi-hat there, as I think Jimmy Page did sometimes. So anyway, so. Okay? He does it with his. I used to play it a little differently. I'd put the beat 1 note later, so. Then it dawned on me you couldn't do the turnaround, what I call the turnaround. Because you need to do that, so. And the last bell is always hit on the. He goes. You'll notice that when he does that part on the bell and into the hi-hat swoop, it rushes a little bit. And he does that practically every time in the recording. And if you really listen to the recording, you know, may the Zeppelin gods not strike me down. It's for Bonham, it's kind of a reckless recording. If you listen to him, his tempo in a certain spot is sort of all over the place. He has a couple stumbles. But in Zeppelin fashion, it still sounds beefcake and he's playing his ass off. Do you know what I'm saying? Namely at like the 3:45 mark, you'll hear a little fill funkiness, but he comes right back in on time. I mean, classic. Like he did the same thing. It's almost like the same fill. I think he actually does, in that he's kind of botches slightly in My Time of Dying at the end. He kind of has a fill that he sort of, but it sounds good because he's like right on the edge of totally messing it up, but he doesn't. Anyway, so the main verse part has two parts. And then we go into the "Do you know my name" part. And again, in that "Do you know my name" part, he's just playing. In a couple of those verses, I think it's the second verse and once in the third verse, he'll put in a little triplet fill. Okay, it's essentially a one and a two and a psh. Then there's a little lead in. A one and a two and a. So he throws one or two. I think in the second verse he does that twice, and in the third verse he does it more. Anyway, so do you know my name? And then from there, there's what I call the climb down. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na, which he goes back to the ride cymbal, but I don't think he's hitting the. He's not hitting the bell. I think he's hitting near the bell, maybe on the shoulder. When he does go to the climb down, he's not going. That's where the. Jesus, come on, people, be quiet. That's where like that basic tenet of the beat doesn't apply. He's keeping kind of straight time. So. Although he's not going straight boom, ba. Once or twice he does on the climb. He actually does go. But I think the first time it's like the very first time I think it's like. So like. Yeah, so there might be a at the very first time, but by and large it's just. I know this is so pain in the ass attention to detail, or at least the silly way I look at it. As that part goes on, at the very end of that, he does start putting a. But at first he doesn't, so it's like. Okay, so he kind of reserves the. Silence for later kind of in the part. This is generally speaking. Remember Bonham, like I always say in the video, Bonham went through the stuff, they learned the song, he just played it. He didn't sit down for a month like, and then after that part I'm going to put that fill there and I'm going to hit that exactly. I mean, you know, I'm just trying to get you down, in my opinion, the basic beat so you can play it. A lot of people seem to like Sick Again, so this is my take on it. Okay? So, So you have to climb down. Again, later in the climb down. But at first he doesn't. It's just kind of a straight. It's even like a. And I think actually one time you do hear a. You hear like a. Like, I know I'm going looking forward to it. So anyway, so then we go from there. We go climb down. In this case, then we go back into the verse. Something like that. Remember, Bonham did this stuff. He was 21 years old. That's why he's John Bonham. My name's Terry Keating. This is a wig. This is a rug. Did you know that there's somebody I know that actually thought I wore a rug? This is real hair. It really is. Anyway, but again, I mean, I'm not Bonham. I'm doing my best. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, but really though, that's how the fill goes. Know my name. So. I think he goes all the way around. And yeah, and I think when there's the lead in on the triplet instead of you might have to end up crashing with your left hand. I don't know. But anyway, so that's what happens in the second verse part. He does have a couple quick of those fills. Okay? Alright, so he throws a couple of those bad boys in there. And then we get to, we go back to another climb down. Yes, that's what he does. So, in the climb down, know my name, and then silence. And then after the second verse there, we go into the. And again, boy, you hear that 2002 just getting smacked. But what he does there, and if you listen there too, he rushes too. Like it's kind of like na na na. You know, it goes on and on. I mean, he does speed up a little. But then what he does there, in the first. He does something in there, and I have to say, I don't know if I can do it. Well, I can't do it. You know how he goes like this? He goes. It sounds like he's going. You know what I mean? And I don't do those that well. He did it. He did it great. His left hand was unbelievable. Not in a Buddy Rich like single stroke way. Well, but he was able to do like. Those very well, and I think that's what he's doing there. You know what I mean. If you listen to it at the time reference, like 133-ish, he starts with the. But then you start hearing snare drum in there. Now, I think he's just going. But, you know, he could also be going. Which I don't do that well. I mean, obviously. So, but Bonham did do that sometimes. If you see live versions of him doing Kashmir, you'll see him going. Okay? It's possible he's doing that there. Again, he is Bonham. He could be doing it, but that's pretty fast when he does that. I mean, it's like. It's like. So, that he could be doing that there. That could happen in that part. So, it's up to you to decide. If you can do those. If you can do them real fast, God love you. I cannot. Alright. So, then the solo comes. Okay, and then the solo, he plays kind of a beat under it. So, like. And that guitar part comes. That's where he first starts going the. Or. Maybe. But anyway, so what happens is, after that, Bonham starts playing a beat under that. He starts going. And that's generally. He plays generally the same thing every time, but sometimes he'll throw in a couple extra snare accents. Sometimes he doesn't crash the cymbal. So ba da 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 ba 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 da 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 ba 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 da ba da da da. Okay. That's what he does there generally. I think that's under the solo. And that's kind of in the 133 to 142 area. And then, no, I'm sorry. That part then occurs, forgive me, that little funky part's a little after the solo. Or during and kind of after the solo. And then, so that's like 147-ish actually. And then after that, we go back into the verse. And now that's the part, for reference, what I was just playing is like, despite some of the comments in the video about like snorting coke, people say like, snorting coke, doing so much coke. The fact is I'm just like allergy guy, especially when I come down here into my basement. I'm sniffly von Rickenpimple. Alright, so what I'm just doing there, that part, is essentially 216 to like 234. Do you know my name? I know he doesn't say, do you know my name every time. He says it like the first or third time. Anyway, so. Like sometimes he'll just throw a fill in there. Like it's kind of nondescript. I think it's like. My point is it's not always. splitty around the drum really occurs, I think, in the second verse twice. Well, in the second "Do You Know My Name" part, and then in the third one, like once. Otherwise, it's like. It's a cool fill, but it's right there. You can see it. So then we go. Then the climb down again, which again I think is on the ride, but toward the bell, in the shoulder. So not on the bell, but kind of, so like. So right there, what I played and what I'm playing, the music that occurs under it is, excuse me, get a Big Mac. The climb down, da na 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 na. Okay. I think this stick is about to break. All right. So, after that's essentially the climb down. But then after that climb down, we have another ba 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 ba. And again, we don't hear, and I don't think there's quite so much. Or, again, I can't really do that. So he could, Bonham could do that with ease. Even when it was real heavy, like at Nebworth, Cashmere, you see him do that. So, after the climb down, and we go, and then there's another funk part. But instead of that, it's sort of doubled. It goes that is that. Sorry, I'm a little manic after my 97 cups of coffee. And then, okay, now this is at about 3:05, for reference. Go to 3:05, open up another window when you're looking at my manic person here. Just go to about 3:05. People, I don't know how people get away with loading these Zeppelin tunes on YouTube and not get pulled. I mean, God love them. Jimmy Atlantic and those guys are crazy about this stuff. Anyway, so go to about 3:05 in the song. And Bonham under that is playing. That's the general beat, the general motif. I think toward the end he throws a snare beat on one of them. So instead of the last one might be, and then he goes from there into the verse again. So we're now right about 3:11 in the song. And again, we have the same stuff. Again, in the verse again. And then we're into the if do you know my name part again. I think there he does say do you name, which is the same thing again. But I don't think he does. I think there might be but he might not throw one of them. It might just be a regular fill. Know my name. something like that. And then I can't read my writing. Look at this. Can you believe this? When I was in 4th and 5th grade, I actually did go to a Catholic school. And his poor sister Jackie, for like 2 years, well, for at least a year, I go to school, well, poor me, for like a half hour, 45 minutes every day, because they just couldn't get me to write. Look at this. My handwriting's horrible. Well, I also have to shake, so. Anyway, so now we're at about 3, that's 3:30, do you know my name? And then we have another climb down again. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. I think it's the last climb down in the song. Because the climb down only comes at the very end of the second verse, after in the middle, and then so it's like the third climb down. And in the third climb down, na-na-na-na-na-na, there's a little kind of a drum, I call it a drum. It's not really a mistake, but I mean, if you listen, I think it's at about 3:45 or 3:46. It's just kind of like a, it's like. I'm not sure what he's playing there, but it's kind of neat just to hear, like he just kind of, but he gets right back into it, you know? Okay. And then, to the ice cream on the cake, what I've been dying to yap about the whole video. At the end of the song, it goes na na na. So ba 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 da da ba 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 da da. Okay, so we go from the. It goes, I think, into a bar of verse after the climb down. So like ba da 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 da. And then it goes. So what is there is the guitar is going, well, the melody of the song is going, ba da 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 ba 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 da 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 da, and Bonham's just playing. Okay. So there you have it, a straight. Okay, there's what I call, it's not really a turn, but the turnaround. Or everywhere Bonham does it. Bonzo's Montreux. Okay? Anyway, so at the end of the tune, ba da 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 da. Okay? But in a moment of Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin studio genius, I mean, it's just classic, so Led Zeppelin. Do you remember how I always say in a lot of the other videos, I say sometimes you get in the car, right? You got out of the car, you left the volume kind of low in the car, right? You're doing something, you get back in the car, you turn the car on, the radio's on. And you, for a minute, before you hear the drums and the melody and you identify the song, you'll hear the music for a minute. And you'll hear the music, you're not sure where the one is, so you hear the music in a weird way. So it sounds kind of like a weird song, and the percussion, the drums underneath sound like this really cool pattern. Like, wow, that's kind of cool. But then you get your bearings and you realize what song it is. It's a song you heard 1,000 times. You're like, oh wow. People have said in comments to me they know what I'm talking about. If you don't, well, I feel like an idiot. But anyway, but it's kind of like that at the end of the song. So da 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 ba da da 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So what he's doing is. Okay? But what they do is, you'll hear Jimmy Page throwing a guitar part and Robert Plant singing at the same time. Ah, ah. And I mentioned this in another video like 2 years ago. But the way that comes in is that once it kind of starts, if you're not really paying attention, suddenly it sounds like a cut, like Walking on Sunshine. It's like but it's not. The song's actually going ba da da da. But where they start throwing in that comes in such a point that suddenly it gives it the effect of like I'm not going to play the drums because it's so loud. Sorry. So, right? I mean, it does. That's the effect. But it's kind of like a mind screw. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, it's like the beginning of rock and roll. When Bonham counts it out that way, if you consider that first note the one, it kind of throws it all off. Again, at the beginning of Misty Mountain Hop, for me, if I'm not paying attention, you know that the keyboard, ba, 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 da, ba, ba. If I count that very first note as a one instead of like the and before, it makes the drums sound like they're coming in a different spot. It's bizarre. Anyway, could just be me. Forgive me. Anyway, so what happens is, so there you have the drums. And a good way to think about it is well, you don't actually, it's not like you're going to play this and you have to play the drums and sing it at the same time. But, okay? Okay, so when you have the turnaround, that bass drum beat that comes right after is the first da 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 da. You know where he goes da 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 da. That da of da 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 is the okay. So ba da ba 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 ba. So again. Okay? Again. Ba da 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 da. Song ends. Okay? So again, you know what's funny? When I saw the Zeppelin, a friend of mine got tickets from the promoter for when the Zeppelin, Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin experience came here to Chicago. They played out in the suburb. And I got a chance to go. He gave me a ticket, which was very nice of him. Ron Onesti runs the joint out there. Onesti Entertainment. God love him. Great guy. And Mike Tassi, the man, for giving me the ticket. He's the Pope, Tassi. He's a great musician. He's an artist, like accountant. He's like, I think he's as Renaissance as you get. Right now I think he's sculpting. Anyway, so when I saw those guys out there, the singer, and they were good. Those guys went out. It wasn't Zeppelin, but it was good. The singer, everyone was great. Jason Bonham, again, what I said in the other video, was doing great. But you could tell that the singer, I think, it's easy to get thrown off in that part where that da-da-da-da comes in, because it's kind of a mind screw. Like it gives the whole song a new dimension if you kind of lose where the one is. And I remember the guitar player at one point turned to the singer and started playing it, and you could see very much the singer very intently was like he sort of was singing away from the mic because he didn't want to mess it up. They start going da 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 da, which was cool. Anyway, so again, da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da da So that's it. That's a long video. I'm tired from even watching me, listening to me do the video. Anyway, but thanks a lot for liking the video. Lately I've been getting a lot of nice comments, and I really do appreciate it. So I'm going to throw this baby on there. I also want to do 4 sticks and a couple other ones. Just been a long couple months. We had the flu go through the house, and somebody had their tonsils out, and it's just pandemonium. Alright, so hopefully you liked the video. And remember I have that interview with somebody coming up soon too, so it's kind of hard to synchronize it though, because he's sort of a famous person and I'm not.